Hi, is this Indrajit?
Yes, I'm Inderjeet,
Hi.
and that's my husband Amit.
Hi.
Hi, it's nice to meet you both. My name is Sue, and I'm an immigration attorney.
Nice to meet you, Sue.
Nice to meet you as well. Where are you signing in from?
From Dallas, Texas.
Okay, I see. I'm located in New York.
Uh-huh.
So I see that you signed up for my AMA series, Ask Me Anything. Just wanted to make sure it's okay that I'm recording this session.
Totally fine.
All right, great, thank you. So tell me what kind of immigration issues or questions you have.
So we have an immigration question.
Sure.
So currently I am on F1 visa. I'm
Okay.
on OPT. I completed my master's degree in 2022, and then I started working for American Airlines. So I've been working with them for 1 year.
Okay.
And I haven't got my H1B visa yet. I did apply for it for last couple of years, but I was not selected in the lottery.
Okay.
So my course was STEM, so I still have 2 more years of lottery left. So I have 2 attempts left. But our question today to you is, we want to file for EB1 category visa.
Okay.
And we wanted to ask you, like, based on my profile, how do you think, how else can I build my profile better to build a stronger case for EB1 visa?
EB1-A.
EB1-A. Okay, so that's extraordinary. I'm sorry?
The Einstein visa, as they say it, like the that has 10 criteria and you have to satisfy 3 or more.
Right. So extraordinary ability, correct? Okay. So can you tell me a little more, since I don't have your background?
Okay. Yeah. So I completed my undergrad in engineering in electronics and telecommunication in 2014.
Okay.
After that, I joined multinational consulting firm in India called Tata Consultancy Services.
Okay.
And I was working for airline clients in Tata Consultancy Services. So I worked in India for 3 years. After that, I moved to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I was in Malaysia where I worked for our client, Malaysia Airlines, for a year, for 2 years. And then from there, I went to Japan. I worked as a business analyst for Japan Airlines for a year.
Okay.
And both the times I was on work visa.
Okay.
And then we got married in 2020. And then we came here in US to pursue master's degree in 2021.
Okay.
So I completed my master's in business analytics from University of Notre Dame, Indiana.
Okay.
And right now I am working in American Airlines as an analyst in revenue management department.
Revenue management?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little more about what that means?
Yeah, so revenue management, so like in revenue management is basically at American, we see and we do analysis, like how can we increase the revenue, because in airline industry, the cost is kind of constant. There is not much changes in the cost. So the only way we can make profit is to increase the revenue. So we basically analyze different part of the industry to kind of like know how can we increase the revenue. So for past year, like I was in revenue integrity department, wherein we were like trying to kind of automate different processes and also find out where frauds are happening so that we can eliminate those frauds and hence increase our revenue. And currently I'm working on ancillary team, wherein I deal with different products that Americans sell as ancillary. For example, all the upgrade products that American has, all the seats products, fare products. So I kind of analyze revenue and try to find out how can we improve our products, or how can we sell, or how can we price those products to get better revenue.
Okay.
One point I wanted to add, just one point about her. She's being humble. She was one of her university toppers when in undergrad, and then even in American, she was fast tracked to her promotion. So like usually it takes to jump from level 2 to level 3 about 12 months, 12 to 18 months. She got it in about 9 months because of her performance and the work she did, the impactful work she did. And in
Okay.
her entire department, revenue engineering, she was the only one who got promoted. So
Okay.
like I think these things may help us. So just thought, just put it
Okay.
out there.
Got it. So any chance you have gone through and looked at the EB1-A criteria?
Yes, we have.
We
Okay.
actually just glanced. We
Yeah.
just before the call, we just glanced at those just to
Okay.
see like if we make some sense out of it before we
Right.
speak. Yeah. So
Did any of the criteria jump out at you as, oh, I think I can prove that?
Yes, there were a couple. So one was evidence that you have been asked to judge the work of others, either individually or on a panel.
Okay.
So I have not done it so far, but I was like wondering, maybe I can try to get this point check in the future.
Okay.
So this was one of the point, and another point was evidence of your performance of a leading or critical role in distinguished organizations.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because I think revenue management plays a significant role in industry like airline. So maybe I could prove something there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other criteria jump out at you?
Evidence that you command a high salary or other significantly high remuneration in relation to others in the field.
Okay. So let's start with the last one. What is your current salary?
My current salary is 94,000.
Okay. Have you checked, comparable wage statistics for positions, for your position or similar positions?
So when we have to check that, we don't only have to look at American Airlines, right? We have to look in general.
You have to look at like the entire country, the US.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
so like when I look up like real quick on Glassdoor, it says for on an average the analyst salary in the US area is 61,000.
Okay. So Glassdoor, I don't know if immigration would accept that. There are other kind of wage surveys and statistics out there.
Is there one you could point out so that we can look up, because we usually look at Glassdoor, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, like these two websites.
Immigration usually wants like studies that are conducted by private companies that you basically pay them to conduct a wage survey. They're not really going to rely on just kind of informal, wage stats that you might find online. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, if you're talking about the difference between 60K and 90K, I don't think immigration would agree that that's significantly, higher than, other peers in your field. This is a criteria that is difficult for immigration to concede. I know because I filed EB1-A petitions and have gotten RFEs, and immigration loves to push back. Even if you submit paid wage reports, they'll still find some reason to reject it. So I would say that unless your salary is several times that of the average, it would be a hard criterion to convince immigration on.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I would look for another criteria. Regarding the judge of the work of others, I think you need to kind of figure out what kind of panels you're talking about. How are you serving as a judge? What kind of competition is it? How prestigious is this competition? Is it very well known? Because it's not enough to judge just any kind of event. You have to prove that the event or the competition is prestigious in and of itself in your industry. So yeah, it's not enough to just say, oh, somebody asked me to judge somebody, right? It has to be within a particular context in your field of endeavor in which you are claiming that you have extraordinary ability. So just kind of think about that. The other thing I would add is that it's always better when you're trying to argue EB1-A criteria. It's not enough to just name one incident, right? Like if you served as a judge one time, then you're basically placing all of your evidence in this one instance, right? What happens if immigration rejects it? Then they've rejected the entire criterion. right? It's always helpful to show that you've judged or served on a panel or a jury in numerous events, right? Whether they're competitions or whatnot. That way, it's more difficult for immigration to kind of reject it out of hand. Okay, so just kind of like think a lot about like where you are judging, you know, and also another thing immigration will ask is, well, how did they choose you to be a judge? Did you approach the organization and volunteer to serve as a judge, or did they approach you because they already knew about your reputation? They're going to ask those questions. They will also want to know what are the specific criteria required by that organization to serve as a judge. If it's an informal process and there's no really stated specific reasons or criteria on who qualifies to serve as a judge in the first place, then immigration will most likely not accept that as proof that you have extraordinary ability. Leading and critical role. I would say it's not enough to say yourself that you think that you have served in a leading or critical role. It has to come from an objective source. So whether you know, your role is discussed in the media, for example, if let's say somebody has profiled you, someone in the industry has, you know, heard about your work and they interviewed you and they, you know, wrote about how the role that you served was in some kind of essential or critical capacity for that organization. At minimum, you would need to get letters from your employers, from your supervisors and higher ups, confirming that the position that you hold is leading in some way or critical or essential to, you know, one of the functions within the organization. And I think the rest of that criteria also talks about the organization having to have a distinguished reputation. So it's not enough to prove that you are leading in some capacity for a company, but the company also has to be proven to have a distinguished reputation as well, right? So you have to prove every element, basically every word in every criteria, immigration will look at closely, right? And if you're missing any one, any phrase within that criteria, then they will seize on that and you know, possibly reject that as you not having met that criterion.
Okay, yeah. So it looks like
Needs work.
it needs a lot of work, and we need a lot of evidences to support a like one criteria.
Yeah. So this is just kind of how I would approach an EB1 case, right? You know, in a way, these are the hardest types of green card applications, right? By definition, right? EB1-A is for individuals who can show extraordinary ability, extraordinary, right? Beyond just ordinary. So they're going to really make you prove it. And it's not enough to just even meet the 3 minimum criteria, but there's a 2-prong test that immigration uses. The first prong is proving that you meet a minimum of the 3 criteria. And then the second prong of the test is immigration then kind of evaluates all of the evidence as a whole, and then they have to come up with a final decision whether in the totality of everything that you submitted, you deserve or, you know, you merit a grant of the EB1-A. So not to scare you, but just to kind of, you know, give a more realistic lens that EB1-As require a lot of like thinking and planning and meticulous preparation and gathering the evidence, right? You don't want to just like show one instance that you meet one criteria. You want to show several examples, right?
Right.
An example is the judging or serving on the panel. You don't want to just, you know, use a one-time incident of judging. You want to the extent possible, you try to judge as many times as you can, right? And you also want to find out from the organization that you're doing the judging for, what are their specific criteria to serve on a jury, right? Are they written down somewhere? If they don't exist, then how are you going to prove to immigration that it's a very selective thing to be asked to serve as a judge. I just recently consulted with a client who hired me to review his response to a request for evidence in his own EB1-A filing. And that was one thing that USCIS questioned is, prove to us the decision-making process that led to you being asked to serve as a judge. And it turns out that the organization had no written criteria. So that's going to be difficult to overcome. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, we have a lot better
Yeah.
clarity now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's never too soon to start working on it, because a lot of the case also depends on timing, right? You may not have everything ready to file today, but it doesn't mean that a year from now, you know, you can work on developing your evidence. So it's a question of timing, right? You don't want to file it when it's too soon, when you're perfect. But at some point, you may have enough to establish a decent case.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sounds good and helpful. Thank you so much, Sue,
All
for
right.
doing. We really
You're
appreciate
very, very welcome. You know, if anything changes, or if you have any other questions or new possibilities, you can always reach out to me.
Totally.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Appreciate your time.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
You
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.